I sent screenshots of his affair to his entire family. I sat on the couch, gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. My heart pounded in my chest as I scrolled through the damning messages. I love you, baby. Can't wait to see you again. The words burned into my brain, each one a dagger straight through my heart. I had suspected it for months. His late-night work meetings, the sudden secrecy with his phone, the way he turned away when texting. But seeing the proof? That was something else entirely. I stared at the screenshots I had just taken. Text after text, picture after picture. Him and her, Elena. A name I recognized all too well. His ex. The one he swore was out of his life. My fingers hovered over my contact list. His mother, his father, his sister, his grandmother, the entire family who had welcomed me with open arms. Would they still see me as part of their family after tonight? Would they still defend their golden boy once they saw the truth? I swallowed hard. No more excuses. No more second chances. He had made his choice. And now I was making mine. I took a deep breath and hit send. And then, everything exploded. The moment I hit send, my body felt both light and heavy at the same time. My hands trembled, my breathing shallow. The messages were gone. Delivered. There was no taking them back. For a few minutes, nothing happened. Silence. Then, one by one, my phone began buzzing like an angry beehive. First, his mother. What is this? Please tell me this isn't real. Then his sister. No way. Tell me this is some kind of sick joke. His father. Call me now. And finally, him. The man who had broken me. The man who had lied over and over. What the hell did you just do? I felt a rush of satisfaction, but it was quickly drowned out by the reality of the situation. I had just detonated a bomb in his life. In our lives. A part of me had expected him to rush home, to fall to his knees and beg for forgiveness. But instead, his response was cold, calculated. You're insane. You just ruined everything. Not I'm sorry. Not I messed up. Just anger. Just blame. My hands steadied. He wasn't sorry. He never would be. I took a deep breath and typed my final message to him. No, you ruined everything. I just made sure they knew the truth. And with that, I blocked his number. Little did I know, the real storm was just beginning. I stared at my phone, my hands still buzzing with adrenaline. Blocking him felt good, powerful, but the damage was far from over. A call from his sister came through. I hesitated, then answered. Oh my God, tell me this isn't real. She blurted out before I could even say hello. It's real, I said, my voice steady despite the lump in my throat. She let out a string of curses. I knew he was trash, but this? With Elena? After everything? I'm so sorry, babe. You didn't deserve this. I swallowed hard. Finally, someone on my side. Then another call, this time from his mother. I debated ignoring it, but I needed to hear her reaction. Why did you do this, sweetheart? Her voice was soft, almost pleading. Because he lied to me. Because he was sneaking around behind my back for months. I snapped, my patience running thin. I know, but airing it like this? To the whole family? I clenched my jaw. Of course. It wasn't his betrayal that shocked her. It was me exposing it. You think I should have just stayed quiet? Let him keep lying? I asked, my voice shaking. There was a pause. Number, but you put him in a terrible position. I let out a bitter laugh. He put himself there. Before she could say anything else, another voice cut in. His father. We need to talk, in person. A chill ran down my spine. This wasn't over. Not even close. His father's words sent a shiver down my spine. We need to talk. In person. I hesitated. A part of me wanted to tell him to deal with his cheating son on his own. But another part, The one still wounded, still craving closure, wanted to face them, to make them see what their precious golden boy had done to me. Fine. Where? I asked. Our house. Tonight. I should have said no. I should have walked away. But against my better judgment, I agreed. That evening, I drove to their house, my hands gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. When I pulled up, I saw his father standing on the porch, arms crossed. His mother sat in a chair, looking down at her hands. His sister was inside, peeking through the window, shaking her head. And then I saw him. Liam. He was leaning against the railing, his jaw tight, his eyes dark with fury. The moment I stepped out of my car, he pushed off and stormed toward me. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he spat. I didn't flinch. I refused to give him that satisfaction. "What's wrong with me? Are you serious?" I shot back. "You ruined my life." His voice was sharp, full of rage. "You embarrassed me in front of my entire family." "You embarrassed yourself, Liam," I snapped. "You lied. You cheated. I just made sure everyone knew the truth." His father stepped between us, his face stern. "Enough, both of you." Then he turned to Liam. "Is it true?" Liam scoffed, rolling his eyes. "It's not that simple." "Is it true?" his father demanded. For the first time, Liam faltered. His mouth opened, then closed. His mother let out a sharp breath, shaking her head. His sister muttered, "Unbelievable." That was all the confirmation his father needed. His disappointment was obvious, etched in the hard lines of his face. "You brought this on yourself, son," he said coldly. Liam clenched his fists. "So that's it? You're all taking her side?" I let out a hollow laugh. "There's no side to take, Liam. There's just the truth." His father turned to me. "You've made your point, but this family needs to handle its own problems now." I knew what that meant. I was no longer a part of this family. And honestly, I didn't want to be. I nodded, taking one last look at Liam, the man I had once loved, the man I thought I would spend my life with. But now, he was nothing to me. Without another word, I turned and walked back to my car, and for the first time in months, I felt free. As I drove away from Liam's family home, a strange sense of relief washed over me. It was over. The lies, the betrayal, the emotional torment. I had finally freed myself from it all. Or so I thought. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Unknown. "You think you won? Watch your back." My stomach twisted. I had no doubt it was from Liam. Typical. Instead of apologizing or taking responsibility, he was lashing out. I rolled my eyes and blocked the number. He wasn't my problem anymore. But then the real drama began. That afternoon, my best friend Ava called, her voice practically vibrating with excitement. "Girl, have you seen Facebook? Twitter? Oh my God, you need to look." I frowned, opening my apps. My notifications were flooded. Liam's dirty laundry wasn't just exposed to his family anymore. It was all over social media. Someone, not me, had taken my screenshots and blasted them online. His texts, his late-night rendezvous, even his cheesy pet names for Elena were now public knowledge. The captions were brutal. When your man says he's working late, but he's actually working on his ex, Elena can have him. No refunds, no returns. The comments were even worse. "Dude got caught in 4K. Cheating in this economy? Bold move." Bro thought he was slick. The internet never forgets. Liam's entire world was imploding in real time. And I wasn't the one who did it. I called Ava back, my heart pounding. "Who posted it?" "I don't know," she said between giggles. "But whoever it was, they did you a favor." Part of me wanted to feel bad. I had only intended to expose him to his family, not the whole world. But another part? The part that had cried over him, doubted myself, wasted months of my life wondering if I was enough. That part of me was screaming with satisfaction. And then another text came through, this time from Elena. Elena, meet me. We need to talk. I stared at the message, my heart racing. What did she want? Whatever it was, I had a feeling this wasn't over yet. Stay tuned for part 6, where secrets unravel and an unexpected twist changes everything. Do you want Elena to have her own shocking secret, or should the focus be on Liam's downfall? Elena's text sat on my screen like a ticking time bomb. Meet me. We need to talk. My first instinct? Ignore it. Block her. Move on. After all, what could she possibly say that I wanted to hear? But my curiosity won. 30 minutes later, I pulled up to a quiet cafe on the other side of town. She was already there, sitting at a corner table, sunglasses on, stirring her iced coffee like she had all the time in the world. When I sat down across from her, she pushed them up onto her head, revealing tired, puffy eyes. She looked miserable. I'm not here to fight, she said before I could speak. I just think you should know the truth. I crossed my arms. The truth? Like how you were sleeping with my boyfriend behind my back? She winced. Trust me, I didn't know he was still with you. I let out a sharp laugh. Come on, you really expect me to believe that? She pulled out her phone, scrolled for a second, then slid it across the table. See for yourself. I hesitated before looking, but when I did, my stomach dropped. There were texts from Liam, hundreds of them, and in them, he had told her the same lies he had told me. I'm not with her anymore. She's crazy. She won't let go, but I've moved on. I only stayed with her because I felt bad. He had made me out to be some obsessed ex who couldn't accept reality, while he was still living with me, still saying he loved me, still sharing a bed with me. The anger I thought I had buried came rushing back, hot and violent. So what? He played us both? I whispered. Elena nodded. And I found out the same way you did, last night, through those screenshots you sent his family. A bitter silence settled between us. You're lucky, she muttered, looking away. Lucky? I scoffed. How? Her eyes met mine. Because you got out. That's when she told me everything. How Liam had lied to her just as much as he had lied to me. How he had controlled her, telling her who she could see, what she could post, even checking her location. How she had tried to leave him before, but he had guilt-tripped her into staying. How he was dangerous. A chill ran down my spine. Had I dodged a bullet without even realizing it? I leaned forward. Elena, why did you really ask me to meet you? She hesitated. Then she said, because Liam's not done with us yet. And just as she spoke, my phone buzzed with a new message. Unknown number. I warned you. You're going to regret this. My breath caught in my throat. Liam wasn't just angry. He was out for revenge. My hands clenched around my phone as I read the message again. I warned you. You're going to regret this. A chill crawled up my spine. It's him, isn't it? Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, my stomach twisting. I had blocked his number, so he was using a new one. That alone was creepy enough. But the way he worded it, I warned you, made my skin crawl. Elena rubbed her arms like she was cold. I told you. He's not going to let this go. I stared at the screen. I refused to be afraid of him. Let him try, I muttered, blocking the number. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. The first sign that night I was home alone, curled up on my couch, trying to focus on a Netflix show when my phone lit up. No caller ID. I hesitated, then declined the call. 2 seconds later, it rang again. No caller ID. I declined again. Then came a text. Unknown number. Why aren't you answering? I sucked in a breath. He was playing games. I turned off my phone, tossed it onto the coffee table, and tried to calm my racing heart. But then, a knock at my door. My body went rigid. It was nearly midnight. No one should be here. I tiptoed to the peephole, my pulse thudding in my ears. Nothing, just darkness. I stood there frozen, barely breathing. Was it Liam? Was he actually here? Then another knock, louder this time. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and turned it back on. As soon as the screen lit up, another text popped up. Unknown number. Open the door. I stumbled back, panic clawing at my throat. I wasn't alone. I called Ava immediately. Someone's outside my apartment, I whispered. I'm on my way, she said. Stay inside. Don't open the door. Call the cops if you have to. I held my breath, waiting. Minutes stretched on like hours. The knocking stopped. My phone stayed silent. By the time Ava arrived, there was no one outside, but taped to my door was a single note. I ripped it down, my stomach twisting as I read the words. You think this is over? It's just beginning. Ava cursed under her breath. That psycho actually came here? I felt sick. This wasn't just some bitter ex being petty. This was obsession. Elena had been right. Liam wasn't letting go, and I had a terrible feeling. This was only the beginning. The note in my hand felt heavier than it should have. You think this is over? It's just beginning. I read it again, and again. My hands trembled, my breath came in short gasps. We need to call the cops, Ava said, grabbing my arm. I shook my head, my mind racing. And tell them what? That my crazy ex left me a note? That he might be stalking me? Without proof, they'll just tell me to file a restraining order and wait. And waiting felt like the worst thing I could do. Because Liam wasn't just mad. He was dangerous. By the next morning, I was running on 3 hours of sleep and a whole lot of paranoia. I checked the locks on my doors 5 times before leaving for work. I jumped at every sudden noise. My stomach twisted every time my phone buzzed. And then, at noon, I got another text. Unknown number. Miss me? I gritted my teeth. Not this time, Liam. I screenshot the message and sent it to Elena. He's still messing with me, I typed. You said he did the same to you. How bad did it get? Her reply came almost instantly. Elena. He used to track my location. I felt my stomach drop. How? Elena. Through my phone. I don't know how, but he did something. He always knew where I was, even when I turned off location sharing. I stared at the message, cold fear creeping into my bones. What if he was doing the same to me? I wasn't going to sit around and let Liam control my life. I needed proof. I needed to catch him in the act. So I set a trap. That night, I told Ava and Elena my plan. I'll go somewhere random, somewhere I've never been before. If Liam shows up, we'll know he's tracking me. Ava frowned. And what if he does? Then we call the cops. And this time, they'll have proof. We decided on a 24-hour diner on the outskirts of town. A place so random that Liam could only find me if he was tracking me. At 10 p.m., I drove there alone. I ordered coffee, sat in a booth by the window, and waited. Minutes passed, then an hour. Nothing. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was just being paranoid. The bell over the diner door jingled. I looked up, and my blood ran cold. Liam, standing in the doorway, scanning the room, looking for me. Our eyes met, and he smiled. Liam smiled. A slow, knowing grin that made my skin crawl. I gripped my coffee cup so tightly my knuckles turned white. He wasn't supposed to know I was here. Which meant one thing. He was tracking me. The diner suddenly felt too small, too quiet. The hum of conversation and the clinking of silverware faded into the background as he took a step toward my booth. I should have run. I should have screamed. But I was frozen in place, my pulse hammering in my ears. He slid into the seat across from me, completely at ease, as if this were just another casual night out. You look surprised, he murmured, tilting his head. I told you, didn't I? This isn't over. I forced myself to keep my voice steady. How did you find me, Liam? His smile widened. Does it matter? I swallowed hard. You need to leave. He ignored me. You were always predictable. So easy to read. He reached into his jacket pocket and I flinched. But instead of a weapon, he pulled out my phone. I gasped. My hands instinctively patted my pockets, but it was gone. How? When? Liam chuckled at my reaction. Relax, I didn't take it. I just borrowed it for a little upgrade. I snatched it from his hand, my heart pounding. What had he done to it? I just wanted to make sure I could always find you. He continued, his voice disturbingly calm. You don't get to walk away from me, not after what you did. The room felt like it was spinning. This wasn't just revenge. This was obsession. I needed to get out of there. Now I slid out of the booth, but his hand shot out, gripping my wrist. Leaving so soon? He whispered. My breath caught in my throat. His grip was ice cold. Then, a strange electric hum filled the air. The other customers, they weren't moving. Frozen mid-bite, mid-conversation. The waitress stood behind the counter, coffee pot in hand, unmoving. Everything was still, except for us. I whipped around to face Liam. His smile never wavered. What's happening? I whispered. He leaned in, his voice barely audible. I told you, this isn't over. Then, in the reflection of the diner window, I saw something that made my blood turn to ice. There were two of me, one sitting across from Liam, one standing at the door. I blinked. The reflection blinked back. But it wasn't right. The other me, it was smiling. And then the lights went out.